Yeah. Humans of the Cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we're talking about a very, to me, insane card that's actually coming to the TCG in Maze of Memories, March 9th. So we're only 2 months away. It's not that far. This card is crazy, and I think this card could be splashed in a handful of different decks. And I just want to go through it because it has like a lot of niche applications. So we're going to go really in depth, and I'm going to give you like everything you kind of need to know about this card going into it. It's called Soul of the Supreme King. Card's insane. Let's read through it real quick before we actually like talk about all the nitty-gritty stuff on it. Soul of the Supreme King is a normal trap card, and it reads as follows. Pay half your life points. Special summon 1 Supreme King Z Arc from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, but negates effects. It is returned to the extra deck during the end phase of the next turn. When your opponent, separate effect, when your opponent activates a spell, card, or effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and 1 Supreme King Z Arc from your face-up's monster zone. Special summon up to 1 each of Pendulum Dragon Monster, XYZ Dragon Monster, Synchro Dragon Monster, and Fusion Dragon Monsters from your hand, deck, extra deck, and or graveyard. Obviously, we're trying to just cheat all those out of the extra deck because it's just so free. 4 free big boss monsters all at once. By the way, that first effect negates Z Arc's effects on the field. The second effect does not negate any of those monsters. So, yeah. This card's insane. I really don't think I have to go through too much as to explain why cheating out 4 giant monsters or just a Z Arc is really good in and of itself. But there's still a lot of in-between stuff. At the end of the video, I'll give you 3 separate decks that I think have specific synergy with this card, or package if you want to call it. I'm also going to throw a couple of generic cards that I think could be paired with this package that kind of could just generically be good cards anyway, but also have cool synergy with it as well. But we got to go through this, okay? Because there's a lot to do. All right, the next thing we need to look at here is what we're actually getting from this card. Like, obviously, this card, Supreme King, is summoning a ton of different monsters for us, but even those monsters have individual effects that do matter. The biggest one, of course, is Supreme King Z Arc, because he's the one you're getting to pretty much no matter what, guaranteed with this card, even if your opponent won't let you trigger the other effect. But yeah, I mean, this card's insane. It has a lot of effects, and I know his monster effects are technically negated on the field by the Soul of the Supreme King, but if you can either chain to him and flip him face down or remove him from the field, he actually will be able to still get you a lot of value. So on summon, he attempts to destroy all cards your opponent controls. So if you're able to chain and Book of Moon him or remove him from the field, he will resolve that effect first and foremost. That's the most impactful thing. And then he has a couple of like really nice effects as well. If you're able to flip him down and get him flipped back face up, he'll get his effects back, and he would just be an untargetable, indestructible 4,000 body. That's really problematic for most decks. After that, if he destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon a Supreme King Dragon from your deck or extra deck. So if you want to play another target in there, you could. It just depends how much what you're splashing this in and how much actual extra deck space you have. That's another way to get out more pressure. And the last effect, if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone. That's the other thing that's actually like kind of insane, because his scale effects are out of this world. His first scale effect says, Fusion, Synchro, and Exceed monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. Huh? Anything from extra deck except for links is just negate. It just cannot even activate effects. And that's not even on the field. Oh no. Oh, it is controls. It is on the field. My bad. The other effect says once per turn, when your opponent adds a card or cards from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase or damage step, destroy that card. It hand rips when your opponent searches in scale. It's insane. This card is actually wild. That's why, like, if you're able to summon it, chain an effect to pop him, so that way he resolves his effect to wipe your opponent's board, and then he goes straight to scale to just be like a pretty crazy floodgate, can be more than enough value. So this card's crazy. Apologies for the comment, by the way, but yeah, this card's definitely the first and foremost thing you have to read through and realize how much potential and other synergies this card has. From there, we move to all of our options. So as we go down the line of the monsters summoned, first is the Pendulum Dragons. I've read through all these, so I know which ones are useless. There's actually 3 different Pendulum Dragons. The other 2 are just absolute vanillas. This one has 2 small effects that are interesting. The first one is that all monsters with 0 attack have their activated effects negated, and that is not on field, whereas Supreme King Zeark's effect is monsters your opponent controls. This is any monster, which I believe means even if your opponent uses, for example, an Ash Blossom, I believe Effect Veiler 0 attack, Ghost Bell, any of those cards with 0 attack, just straight up don't have their effects resolve. As well as even like certain matchups will be crazy. Like I think about Rika, you know, that won a YCS in 2022. Their best normal summon is Rika Petal, 0 attack. So just straight up negated. So there's a small effect. And then if he battles a monster and it's not destroyed, you banish that monster. So technically a removal effect that could also come up as well, but he's still a 3K beater. Nonetheless, so he's definitely the best option for the Pendulum Dragons. From there we move to the Exceed Dragons. We have Arc Rebellion and Dark Requiem. I'll be honest, these are absolute vanillas. You cannot use any of their effects because they either need a material on it to detach, or it says like this Exceed summon card. So these are not properly Exceed, Fusion, Synchro summoned, whatever it is. And so these are just vanillas pretty much, but they look cool, so that's fun. But those are your options for the Exceed. And then we get into the Synchros. These are by far the best ones. We have Crystal Clearwing and Crystal Wing. I believe both these cards just have all of their effects, except for Crystal Clearing has a float effect that it won't have because it's not Synchro summoned. But these are crazy. Crystal Clearing's the better one overall, but this is a monster negate where this one doesn't negate monster effects, so that could definitely come up. Crystal Clearwing can, like, if your opponent activates a monster effect, it makes itself unaffected and gains the attack of that monster that activated its effect. So it becomes a really annoying card to remove for the rest of the turn, as well as it's just a spell or trap negate on top of that. So it's a negate on top of making itself like a really annoying monster to clear. And then if you really, really need that monster negate, you can just go for Crystal Wing if you want. So both really, really good. If these didn't exist, I would really consider not even playing all these monsters, because I would say maybe there's just value in just summoning Zeark, and like either popping it or flipping it down. But because these guys exist, you really are getting like legit interruption off of resolving that effect. So I really like that. And the last one is the Fusion Dragons. Your real only 2 options are Starving Venom and, okay, Starving Venom, Predapower. He's a newer one, actually. Yeah, so long story short, this guy actually has none of his effects. He's actually just a 3,600 beater. All the other ones, I believe, are 3,000, so it could come up to actually get a one over 3,000, I thought. So cool, you could play one of this. And then as far as regular Starving Venom goes, he actually doesn't have most of his effects either. He does, however, retain that one effect where he can target a level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls, and it copies its name and effects till the end of the turn. That could come up in very niche scenarios, but other than that, he is a vanilla as well. So yeah, mostly it's the Synchro Dragons that get you your value, but still there's small things here or there that come up, and just also the fact that you're getting like 4,000 attack worth of power just off of resolving that is pretty insane by itself. So really, really good. So there you are for all the payoffs you get off of this one single trap card you need to resolve one time. It's pretty insane value. Now, there are 2 important drawbacks to this stuff, pretty straight up. First and foremost, I guess you could say 3, but there's small things here and there. Paying half your life points, that's a lot, obviously. And if you're playing this in a control deck, you could expect to go to time, some of the time. So obviously that doesn't help you there. Secondly, for that second effect, your opponent has to play a spell. They're going to be able to see this card in grave. They can just choose not to activate a spell, but I would argue that's still kind of like a win-win, because if your opponent's just not activating a spell and they could have like 2 or 3 spells in hand, that's a win regardless. You just locked up 3 cards in their hand. We'll still take that, although technically they could just never trigger it for you, because if they wait it out, eventually the Zeark will be shuffled back if you weren't able to flip him down or pop him to get him in scale. They could wait it out until it's not live anymore, but still, if they have to like slow down their play that much, and you're playing a trap deck or control deck, you might already be just too far ahead anyway, so I still think that's fine. And then the other one would be the shuffle back effect. Again, if they're not going to trigger it, eventually he'll go back if they can wait it out, and you don't have a way to do that. So Yeah, small minuses there, to be honest. Like, I really don't think that's too scary, you know, of drawbacks to the package. The final thing I want to throw out there is a couple of synergies that are important to mention. Generic cards, as well as a couple of archetypes that really matter here as far as synergy with this package. So for the archetypes, the first one I would say is Subterror. This is an archetype that doesn't need the extra deck at all, so you could play as many slots as you want here. You could play multiple, you know, copies of some of the guys that need to be summoned off the second effect. And you could even play the extra Supreme King Dragon for Ziyark to summon if he destroys something by battle. But what I love mostly about this archetype is it has the inherent way to flip your own Ziyark face down. Guru can flip your own Ziyark and then flip him back face up on your next main phase, and boom, he is untargetable, indestructible, he's 4,000. If he destroys something, you can get another body out. And if he is destroyed, he goes back into your scale, and then he's a floodgate. Guru loves playing with floodgates anyway, so really, really powerful there. Good synergy. The next one would be Dinomorphia. I think Dinomorphia is a really, really cool one as well. First and foremost, the trap card pays half your life points. Dinomorphia has a lot of cards where the lower your life points get, or at least the bigger the difference between your and your opponent's life points, the better for the archetype. So you already get some good synergy there. Aside from needing like maybe 7 or 8 extra deck slots, they don't need really much else there, so you're pretty free to play the rest of slots for this package if you want. So that's really nice for them, just giving them an alternate win condition. And the third one would be Ninjas. This one's a little bit more dicey because I'm not sure exactly how extra deck heavy they are. I do think you could play a more control-y build of Ninjas, but they do have access to a handful of ways to flip up and down a lot of your monsters generically, not even just Ninjas. So I think for that reason, like that's where Ziyark has some good synergy. Then you have Green Ninja. That card will come out at some point for the TCG. Green Ninja is kind of like a little hand trap for yourself, where if a monster is special summoned to your field, he'll target it, flip it face down, and if you do, he summons himself. So you would go Zark effect Chainlink 1, and then Green Ninja Chainlink 2, flipping him down so that way he resolves his effect and it won't be negated by the soul, which is very, very good. So a couple of really cool archetypes there. Those are the three that stood out to me the most as far as just like specific synergies. But of course, any deck that doesn't need its extra deck that much and is more control based could easily play these cards, even if they don't have the specific synergies, because you could just play some generic cards such as one, Book of Moon, just a generic card that can help you dodge certain things in any deck anyway, as well as playing second to flip stuff, problematic stuff face down. But in our case here, being able to summon Zark on the opponent's turn and flip him face down so that he resolves is insane. The next one would be like Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon, whatever the Daruma Destructive Karma, whatever the name of that card is. It's a trap card, so like that could be a card that's already like could see play in the kind of deck that would want to play this package anyway. I assume a lot of more control-y trap-based decks might want to mess around with this package regardless. So that's another one that's pretty cool in that it flips everything down, which even hits your opponent's stuff. So that way Zark is able to resolve destroying everything if they had maybe some protection face up. So very, very cool there. And then, you know, it's mostly flip stuff, but I would also just throw out any archetype that also has like a really easy way to pop your own cards on the opponent's turn. Gives you that synergy with Zark where he'll be able to resolve that effect to wipe their board if you're able to chain and pop him, and then he just goes to scale, and he's an insane floodgate in scale as well. So it's just really, really insane value with this card, especially if you're able to pair these synergies with the Zark once he comes out. So a lot of really cool synergies there. Those are just a few. Obviously, I'm curious if you guys have any other suggestions down below. If you want to throw them down there of anything that you're thinking of that I didn't mention here that might also be able to take advantage of this card really easily, or this package overall. Yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this going over important packages and or just new cards that are coming out down the line and giving you kind of the heads up on what the deal is there, going a little more in depth on that stuff. But I'm out of here for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.